All right, Bama's out of the SEC tournament, but there's a bigger fish to fry starting today.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me, Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. We'll talk about FanDuel in just a bit. I want to thank you every day for being here every day, and thank you newbies for being here today, and thanks everybody for making this your first listen every single day. Jimmy, I've gone live after the last two Alabama SEC tournament games, but we have not heard from you yet. Mm-hmm. So what are your thoughts? Are people more mad at Nate Oats or more mad at James Spann right now?
Well, I don't understand being upset with either one of them because
I totally agree. But I'm just saying, if you follow Al Gore's internet, people are very mad at both. And I think it's crazy.
Well, it is crazy. It just shows how Alabama's expectations for their basketball program are massively sky high. There is two words to explain why the expectations are so high. Those are Nate Oats. He's just been fantastic. In his 6 years at Alabama, he's the greatest coach in Alabama basketball history, in my opinion, already, even in just 6 years. And I do hold C.M. Newton and Wimp Sanderson in very high regard. But I think what Nate has accomplished in 6 years is unbelievable. And, hey, Florida's just really good. Florida's a very good team. We said it after we lost to Florida the first time, Luke. I'm not sure that Alabama's as good as that team is. That's not a shot at anybody. It's just a factual statement, in my opinion, that Florida might just be a little bit better than Alabama is, this year. They certainly have looked like it twice. We'll see what happens in the NCAA tournament. One other thing that we've said is no matter what happens during the regular season or the SEC tournament, this team will be forever judged by what happens in the NCAA tournament, which starts this week. So let the judging begin. Everything that's happened till now will not matter. If Alabama wins the national championship, no one's going to remember these regular season losses and SEC tournament loss. If Alabama loses early in the NCAA tournament, we won't be talking about, and they lost to Florida twice. No, we'll be talking about, can you believe they lost to Yale in the first round? That's what we'd be talking about for the next, 8 months. So this is what this team's going to be forever labeled awesome, great, good, or bad based on what happens going forward. Hopefully, all the lessons learned from the losses start adding up now, because that's what happened a year ago. This was the week a year ago that they're like, hey, you know what? If we do A, B, and C, we can put it all together. And they did. Let's see if that happens this year.
And we will have another podcast after the bracket is revealed, and we'll probably go live with it. So that way we can take some comments and things like that. So we're only going to spend one segment on basketball and then the next two on football recruiting and spring practice getting kicked back up here soon. But, I want to go back to last night a little bit. The one thing, first of all, I got some texts from folks who I love, who are good friends of mine. And I also saw this on the Twitterverse. People were saying this is embarrassment. That was pathetic and blah, blah, blah. And true, he kicked our ass. I mean, they just kicked it, and so be it. And they did it in the second half. And I think maybe I go back to what I said last night, that when I talked to a friend of mine that's close to the program that said, hey, we're out of gas a little bit before the Auburn game, and he was expecting us to lose that game. Maybe we found the reserve tank and we were able to hit reserve for the Auburn game, for the Kentucky game, and half of Florida, and then we're out of gas again. Like we had used up our gas and our reserves. That makes a little bit of sense to me. It also makes sense that Florida's a good team, and they're the best team in the country right now. And they just are. It doesn't mean
that's the number one explanation. That comes number one for me. But
I'm saying the combo is not good.
Correct.
Now,
correct.
The other thing is, I want people to see my old Houston Oilers logo. The other thing is that they're the best team in the country right now. Mm-hmm. I don't know that they're the same team that lost at home to Missouri. I mean, they could lose in the NCAA tournament. If you're asking me to pick a team to win it right now, I'm probably going to pick Florida. Mm-hmm. But I would be willing I'm also willing to tell you, I don't think Florida's actually going to win it. I'm just saying, if you put a gun to my head and say, pick one, I'm picking Florida. I would also tell you, I'm probably taking the field. So, I mean, the point being, this is still wide open. It's going to depend a lot on who we draw in the bracket, who Florida draws in the bracket, who Auburn draws, who Duke draws, all those things. I've seen a lot of vitriol spewed towards Nate Oats and his use of timeouts. Look, I didn't mind when Florida was on a big run yesterday. I didn't mind him not taking a timeout. You know why? I think Nate knew we're in trouble in this game. And frankly, I'm not saying he threw in the white towel. I'm saying is that, you're just throwing a regular towel. You raise the white flag. I don't know why I'd combine those two cliches, but maybe it was a white towel.
Most towels in sports tend to be white for whatever reason.
White. That's right. So, anywho, I think Nate was sort of like, I'd rather this team that's out there on the floor right now sort of play through this right now and just see what they're, try and get them ready for the tournament mentally. I don't know what he was trying to accomplish. I don't mind it, because there's some people who are like, yeah, we're there. We want to win it. Of course we wanted to win the tournament. Of course we did. And of course I would love to raise a banner. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I woke up this morning feeling fine. And the reason I'm feeling fine is we need the rest. And Grant Nelson's knee is banged up. And he said as much. Mark Sears is tired. He played in the second half, but didn't play late. And what we did instead was let Aiden Holloway stay out there a lot. By the way, I saw some, stuff spewed towards Aiden Holloway. I'll say this. Ask yourself this question. Do you want Aiden Holloway back next year? I do. And,
heck yeah.
And the reason I want him back, I don't know why my lights are flickering. I mean, maybe James Spann was right. But the reason I want him back, I want talent and continuity. If I don't mean this as any shot, but there were some point guards under the Avery Johnson regime that I would say, okay, I don't want them back even if it means continuity, because I don't think they had the talent. This guy, I think, has the talent, so I want him back. I want everybody back. I want Darius Reed. I want Darian Reed to come back. I want Aiden Sherrill to come back. I want Mo Diabate. By the way, Mo Diabate is the shining star in a land of darkness at times. Mo Diabate is the one thing you can look up and go, is there anything out there? Oh, there's Mo Diabate. And it gives you hope. That man plays his tail off every game. He's fantastic. And I want him back. I want everybody that can come back to come back.
Yeah,
so
everybody that plays minutes on this team is a really, really good basketball player. Again,
exactly.
I think what's happened is intrinsically, or inherently is a better word, inherently our standards as to what we expect and demand, I guess, as fans has gone up dramatically. And now we good players aren't good enough. They must be great. And by great, we define that, I don't know, first round pick or something. They got to be Miller or Clowney, or they're not good enough. Every player that plays significant minutes for Alabama is a really, really good college basketball player, and we should want them back next season, no question.
Man, I'm telling you, I'm sorry. This light keeps flickering. I don't know what the heck's happening. So sorry, y'all, if that's bothering anybody else.
Could be a little extra. Could it be a demonic possession?
It was funny last night. So my daughter and bride went up to a friend's house, and they were having sort of like a storm party or whatever. And I just stayed at the house because, I was like, it's going to be dark early and I get to go to bed. Yeah, I'm staying here. But my daughter came home about 9 with my wife, and my daughter said, Dad, you're not going to believe this. The Douglas has got a ghost in their house. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, we kept doing tests. We'd put a rubber ducky, put him on the chair. We'd leave for 5 minutes, come back. He's on the couch. And I was like, okay. And then she was like, and one time we heard a noise, Dad, 100% a ghost. And I was like, well, and then I pulled the old dad trick. I was like, I hope that ghost didn't follow you down here. She was like, well, I don't think it would. And so then, I just sort of snuck up behind her and said, because when ghosts sneak up on you, and I just grabbed her leg, and she was like, don't you ever do that again.
She was not amused. She was not amused by
unamused.
that.
No, she was looking at me like, I wish you would do that again in public. All right, going to talk a little FanDuel because FanDuel is the absolute best. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. Look, I love picking my favorites. I love staying in the action. It's easy and it's fast. The app is easy to use. Jimmy and Luke can use it, so I know you can. It's super easy. Go to FanDuel.com. You will love it. You get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long because you know what? You're going to love it. That's a Luke Robinson guarantee. Now I want to tell you about Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. Supply House, whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need. And it's delivered fast, and it's delivered from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free, I said free, Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. And here we go. So we are going to talk a lot more basketball this afternoon after the bracket's announced. Time to move onward and upward. But football recruiting. There has been some more stuff going on. It just feels like football recruiting is just heating up. I know that Steve Wiltfong, I think it was, had a nice update on some stuff that some guys Alabama was involved in. Not the least of which is Tristan Keys. We've talked about him a lot. And it seems like, in fact, I think he gave the edge to Alabama. Tennessee's right there. But it seems like it's the Alabama-Tennessee battle for what many people consider to be the best wide receiver in the country out of Hattiesburg.
It's hard for me to imagine. I haven't seen tape of every receiver yet that's considered nationally elite. I've seen quite a few, but it's hard for me to imagine that Tristan Keys isn't the best. Watching his tape, he's just kind of what you imagine the best receiver in the country would look like. He's got the check every box, in terms of the size, speed, playmaking ability. Like I say sometimes about these true 5-stars, and he is one for sure. They don't just check every box. You write an A+ in every box, the A+ size, the A+ speed. He's just a fantastic prospect. I like Alabama's chances a lot here. Now, signing the number one receiver is usually a pretty big NIL deal, and it's going to take a significant NIL deal from Alabama to get this done. But keep in mind, it's probably not going to be the highest NIL deal offered to him. So we're going to have to see, because he's going to be extremely highly valued, not just by Tennessee, but by others. I would also keep an eye on A&M here to a degree, who's a big spender. Tennessee's a big spender. Tennessee's just spends a little differently than other schools. I think they'll go big in some guys, but I don't know that their roster 1 through 85 is paid any more than, let's say, Alabama's, but they will go big on a small handful of guys. And Tristan Keys feels like he could be one of those guys in this group. So, but Alabama's chances to sign Tristan Keys, Luke, they're not just realistic. I would say they're better than realistic. And, Wilt Fong is, no one's Fong bombed him to Alabama just yet. But if we're picking today, I would predict today that it's Alabama. I'm just not saying it with a ton of confidence yet, based on, I know what kind of high value prospect he is. And in this NIL age, it should make everyone a little nervous. Let's say, for instance, he goes on these visits this summer. I think this is a kid that wants to commit this summer. So let's say he does go on these visits and says, it's Alabama, it's Alabama. Hey, it's going to be 5 months of holding on for dear life as the DMs pile up in his inbox with dollar figures in them. So this is one that you want to get to commit to this summer, and then you got to hold on for dear life all the way through the fall and into December. But that's what the landscape is now, right? Yep, you're mute.
I'm muted.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
muted.
I talked too long. I think is what that
did.
is.
And that is
wife,
kind of, that
wife
is
tells
your
me that all
fault.
the time. That is kind of my fault, and because I kind of would have predicted. Like, I wonder if there is literally a pattern. Like when Jimmy does a 2.5-minute spiel, Luke will be muted at the other end of it. I think that's kind of a pattern that
Well,
that
and
scientists would spot.
part of it is my being polite because I don't want to interrupt you on these spiels any
Well, I
more than I
appreciate
have
that.
to. Like occasionally I do, but I don't want to. So I mute myself. And sometimes you can probably see me if you're watching online that Jimmy will be talking and I will start talking and I don't realize I'm muted either. And I realize, oh, he's still talking because I'm muted. And I'm like, thank God I am muted because I would have interrupted if it was in the middle of something poignant.
Sometimes I need to be interrupted and go like, what did you say?
All right. So my question was, what do you think the chances are? I don't think it's outlandish to think Alabama gets Cederian Morgan and Tristan Keys. I mean, I think conventional wisdom says you get one or the other if
Yes.
you get any. But
Yes.
if I were ranking, okay, if you were saying, okay, what are the odds? And rank the odds in order. Bama gets both, Bama gets one, Bama gets neither. I would go Bama gets one, Bama gets both, Bama gets neither.
Agree totally.
Okay.
One is the best chance. Both is the second best chance. Neither comes in last. I would also say the chances of getting both, I would put it near or better than 50%. That's how optimistic. And
Wow.
some might think that's not, but I think that is being pretty optimistic about landing both. And I think
Well,
I
then
would
you're
say
really saying, and again,
I
I'm
would say
interrupting you.
75% chance on Morgan, 65% chance on Keys. When you meld them together, maybe barely over 50%.
Well, then you're really saying get both, get one, get neither.
No, I really think getting one is the better. And that's just because I feel more confident. I'm trying to pick my words more carefully, but I'm very confident on Morgan right now. I'm
Yeah.
pretty confident on Keys. But together, sometimes I think being that level of optimistic, I have some superstition issues with it. Really, like I don't want to be that optimistic.
100%.
But it could happen. I mean, for those out there that want to be that way, hey, it's really realistic that Alabama could get both. These are the top 2 wide receiver targets, by the way. And I think, by the way, Alabama would like to sign 3. I think 3 is the magic number. But we'll talk about on an upcoming show how all these numbers could radically change depending on the House settlement, because we could be bumped up to 105 players on scholarship next fall. If that happens out of the blue, by next fall, I mean 2026, guys, not 2025. But if you get bumped up to 105 in 2026, that means your class of 26 needs to be much bigger than classes that you've signed previously. So, that could really change the numbers. But for right now, all you can do is keep an eye on that. But you can only plan for what the deal is. And right now, the deal is still 85 on scholarship and signing around 20 to 25 high school players. That will change once the rules actually change. But if you change your whole strategy now and then the House settlement falls through, you got a problem because it isn't official.
Okay, so this is a little off topic, and we're going to talk about visitors coming in. What does that do for basketball? I mean, is it basketball going to go up to 15 Scallies?
I think that's the number. I think that number's been discussed, 13 to 15, and that might be the case. And then, at that point, it's kind of silly because in the NIL era, assuming the rules don't really change, holding on to 15 basketball players that are high level that want minutes is just next to impossible. It's hard enough, or it's nearly impossible with 13. But with 15, you're going to have even more coming and going because, again, players want to play. They want a big NIL check. And they want to play. And if they're not getting minutes at Alabama, they're going to want to get minutes somewhere else.
it could be a perfect scenario if you're just like a Houston Mallet, right? That he's good enough to get paid. Now he's redshirting this year. He's good enough to get paid, but see what he can do is come get a big check. And I say big check, I mean a check. I don't know exactly what he's pulling in. He can get a check, and then he knows he's probably not playing pro, but he can learn to be a coach. And I think that's just, I mean, it could be a great scenario for that. And I think you got to look for some dudes like that. You got to look for some pet ways. You got to look for some mallets. You got to look for dudes like that that will want to necessarily looking for the paycheck at the next level. They're looking for something to get them by. They're probably making more as a player clearly than they would as like a grad assistant or so, you know what I mean? They're good. They need to make some money, stash it away, which I don't know how many of them will do, but whatever.
I would talk to coach. I don't know about basketball. For football, I think if the scholarship levels go up, as talked about, or the team roster size goes up and everybody's on scholarship, that's going to be the new rule. I would focus on these extra guys, on guys that are going to be there. I mean, you can target guys that are developmental, in-state gumps that, hey, they might not be great day one or even day two, but if you give them enough time, they can develop into somebody that can really help you, and they're not leaving, and they're not expensive. I mean, I would target your extra spots on that, which will allow you to spend big on the stars that you need to be good in both sports. But I think in terms of adding extra guys, I think
also
an in-state 3-star sounds good to me.
Also, like, you have just given us a new, everybody's got their own ranking system. We now have a new ranking system. He's a day one gump. He's a 2.5 day gump. Like it takes him a little while to become a gump. Or he's a 3 gump and you're taking a flyer that he will eventually become a gump.
I guess what we're inadvertently saying is gumps are cheaper. And that's true. Gumps are cheaper.
Auburn
that makes sense, right?
For a while.
I mean, we're
Oh, man.
I mean, we're gumps. We're bit cheap. I mean, I guess just a good example of ourselves. I mean, we're doing our Alabama show. If UCLA calls and says, hey, we want y'all to do a show on UCLA. Well, all right, but you better pony up.
Yeah.
I mean,
you got to pay for my gump factor. All right, let's talk about, speaking of factor, eating healthy doesn't have to be complicated. With Factor, you get chef-made, dietitian-approved meals that are ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes. You can fuel your body without the hassle of cooking. There ain't nothing better than that, y'all. Factor meals arrive fresh. They're never frozen. And with 40 options across 8 dietary preferences each week, you can customize your menu to fit your goals, whether that's Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. Look, it's where convenience meets nutrition. I love how Factor keeps you on track with healthy, delicious meals without the time-consuming prep. There's nothing worse than the prep. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/Factor Podcast and use code Factor Podcast to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code Factor Podcast at factormeals.com/Factor Podcast and get 50% off plus free shipping on yo first box. And then just enjoy some Factor meals. All right, let's talk a little visitor info. Look, new dates were added this week. This comes from our friends over at Bama Online.
Bone and his good work.
Bone and them. Mark Bowman, the number 2 tight end. We've talked about him a million times. He's going to be here from May 20th.
Can't stress enough how good that dude is.
He's going to be here from May 20th to June 2nd. J.J. Finch, who we've talked about a good bit, from Indianapolis, Indiana. We think he's going to go up the charts a little bit too. He's going to be here from May 30th.
He's interesting. You know what a decent comp for him is? Decent comp. I'm not going too far with this, but I'm just throwing this out there because I'm going to investigate this comp. There's a little Jeremiah Beeman in him. I mean, I think he's got some Beeman.
Yeah, I know you saw this because I saw you retweet it. Beeman has beefed up.
Yeah, he's up to 315.
We might call him Beefman.
It's one of the reasons I'm the comp, because I see J.J. Finch as an interior pass rusher. That's what Beeman is. But people say, look how small Finch is. The day Beeman committed to Alabama, he was probably 260 the day he committed.
Yeah.
And now he's what, a redshirt freshman or sophomore or something? I mean, he's year 2 guy, and he's already 315. That's just typical of adding. So I mean, Finch is an interior pass rusher that's going to add good weight. Now, I don't know if it's a great comp beyond that. I got to watch more.
I will say this: the Mark Bowman. I said this, and I read this straight from BOL, so it's a BOL typo, not a Luke typo. But it said he's visiting from May 20th to June 2nd. If that's the case, he's essentially already taking classes.
He's moving in.
He's visiting from May 30th to June 2nd, just like JJ Finch will. Samuel U is SAMUELU and then UTU. I have never seen so many U's in one person's first and last name.
Maybe that means he's good. Could be a buy an extra vowel. Can I buy a vowel? Yeah, I don't know much about him yet, but hey, Luke is, what Luke's talking about is official visitors. Official visitors are they're one of two things. They are high priority takes, like we want this dude, period. Or they are almost on that list. They are candidates for, okay, you could grow into, or we're still evaluating you, but we think you might be a take. So it's either definite take or might be a take. They don't give official visit spots to just anybody. Now, keep in mind, the rules have changed. You can have a lot of official visitors. The kids, can go on unlimited official visits now. So it's not like it used to be, but it still means a lot. So don't think for 1 second that a kid making an official visit is not a take. He might be in the maybe camp, but they're under serious consideration, or they wouldn't be on this list.
I like how he might be in the maybe camp.
He might be in the maybe camp. That's
almost
a
lawyer
negative
stuff.
Yeah, that comes from my lawyer days.
Samuel U2, who we just talked about, interior offensive lineman from Orange, California. Man, you give me an offensive lineman with 4 U's in his first name and last name, I want him. Brandon Arrington. Well, I didn't even tell you when he's going to be here. He's going to be here from June 6th to June 8th. Brandon Arrington will be here from June 13th to June 15th. We've talked about him a bunch. Jordan Edmonds, who, by the way, every site is confirming Alabama still loves where they sit with the kid from Marietta, Georgia. He's going to be here from June 20th to June 22nd. It wouldn't shock me if that's when he commits to Alabama. Jimmy, do you agree?
Very, very possible. And for people that get kind of nervous and I get why, but what's the difference between, let's say he had gone ahead and committed earlier and he's committed to Alabama, but he's still considering these other schools and going on visits to them. I mean, isn't it best that they not commit until they're a little more sure? And wouldn't y'all rather him commit and then not go on official additional visits? So Alabama does like where they sit with him. He's clearly open to other pitches. But today, if we're projecting today, I would definitely project Jordan Edmonds to Alabama, and he's another really good prospect. And every time we talk corners, we need to mention Zion Gibson, because I worry, because he's already committed and he's an in-state Gump, we should kind of short shrift him. But he's outstanding.
Short shrift.
Short shrift. I think that is a word.
Is it? God, I learned so much from you. I didn't never heard of tamp down.
Short shrift. Yeah, tamp down. That's the thing.
Short shrift. Okay. I'm not going to doubt you anymore because I sounded dumb last time. So I'll go with short shrift. If you and I played Scrabble, you'd be the kind of guy that, like, I'd challenge you on the first one and you'd beat me, and then I'd never challenge you again, and you'd be using words that nobody's ever heard of. By the way, I'd kick your butt in Scrabble. I'm good.
You probably would.
I'm really good.
I probably wouldn't be as good as someone would think. I mean, I famously lost a spelling bee because I couldn't spell chief.
You misspelled failure. Scrabble is like, it's a weird flex, but I love me some
You're
Scrabble.
A badass Scrabble player?
I am, and it's a weird flex, and I'm sure somebody listening can beat me, but I would love to play you sometime. Elbert Hill will also be here June 22nd. June 20th to June 22nd. This is another guy from Akron, Ohio that Alabama sits well with. Now, a guy that was removed, and he's got the best way to spell Isaiah I've ever seen it in my life.
Does he have 4 U's?
Huh?
4 U's.
No.
Does he spell Isaiah with 4 U's?
And they're all silent. No, he spells it Izayia, and that is just so cool. And when you've got a name like that and it's pronounced Isaiah, you are going to be a superstar at football or Scrabble or something. So he's the number one linebacker from Florida. He's committed to Florida. He's been removed from the list. So be it. I think that I would certainly love to have him. Florida's doing pretty well right now. So that's just a little bit of news there. I mean, I wouldn't get your hopes up about flipping
When you
him or
play
anything.
Scrabble, is it legal to use first names of people?
No.
Like
Can't use anything proper.
Yeah,
But
I'm out.
did you know XU is a word?
Jerry, I'm out.
XU is a word. It's Vietnamese currency. There are a lot of words that I know they're words, but I don't know what they mean.
You can use foreign. You can use foreign words.
Well, it's foreign in the sense. It's not. It's like saying yen. You know, like yen is a word because it's Japanese dollar.
Right.
But it's
so you could use yen, but you couldn't use whatever the Japanese word for butter
Scrabble is.
Yeah. Which is probably, by the way, Scrabble.
Yeah, it probably is. But then, you know, QI is a word. It's chi. It means like your chi, your aura. You know, a lot of, I know UT is like a printer's measure, I think. You know, all that stuff.
It's also Tennessee or Texas.
Yeah, all those things. So anywho, that's going to do it for today's podcast. Now, look, we're going to be back live, right? We're not going to do it during the bracket reveal. No. I thought that would be cool, but then I was like, but everybody's watching the bracket reveal.
Yeah, everybody's watching the bracket reveal. And plus, I'm going to need, I mean, I'll be honest, I can't give you a 10-minute rundown on every team in the tournament. So give me a hot minute to do a quick review of whomever we draw in round
Who's in our bracket at least? Who's in our side of the bracket at least, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're going to want to inform you guys about some facts about these opponents. So,
all right, that's going to do it. Jimmy's got to work on his chi. So we will and we are unfortunately being paid by Locked On in Zoo, Vietnamese currency. That's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back this afternoon. So come join us. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.